Up next, we have a panel discussion for strategies for e-retailers. How is it different in India? Our first panelist is Mr. Gordon. And it gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you the second panelist, Mr. Manish Kalra, Integrated Marketing Head, Amazon India. Mr. Manish is a part of the exciting e-commerce industry, wherein he is currently heading the integrated marketing function for Amazon in India. Earlier, he was the marketing head for MakeMyTrip.com, covering e-commerce, online marketing, brand, PR, channel marketing, and alliances between 2010 and 2014. He won the Marketeer of the Year award for the travel category by International Advertising Association, as well was awarded with the top 50 most talented brand leaders of India by CMO Council and CMO Asia at the Brand Leadership Awards in 2013. Prior to Make My Trip, he has an enriching managerial experience with Dell at Bangalore and Glasgow. At Dell, he was a part of the SPEED program and Accelerator program, targeted at growing high potential managers by providing multifunctional exposure. Welcome, sir. The next panelist for the session is Mr. Upamanyu Bhattacharya, Director Categories eBay. A seasoned leader with a track record of achieving business results, he has been heading and managing businesses for the last 10 years. Although he has been responsible for the delivery of top-line growth as well as the bottom line, on multiple occasions he has participated in business modeling, setting up the business model, and successfully executing the business strategy. He believes that right people are the key to business success, and therefore he believes in building performance-oriented teams. He has managed business of various sizes and in multiple industries. He has successfully handled change management and business process improvements. Welcome, Mr. Upamanyu. The panel discussion will be moderated by Professor Amit Mehra, Indian School of Business. Professor Mehra is an assistant professor and research fellow at the Indian School of Business. He draws upon game theory, agency theory, and econometric tools to research internet retailing, internet advertising, software product development, pricing and launch strategies, and human capital development for IT firms. He has published in the most exclusive international journals, such as Information Systems Research and Management Information Systems Quarterly. He is regularly invited to present worldwide at top academic as well as industry conferences on information systems and marketing. He teaches the business statistics and the social media, online advertising, and web analytics course to MBA students at ISB. He received his PhD from the University of Rochester and his bachelor's degree from IIT Delhi. Welcome, Professor.
Okay, thank you, Rashi, and very good morning to you all, and a very warm welcome to my panelists over here. The talk that we just saw was really a great one. Gordon really touched almost all aspects of retailing, and how retailing is actually going to change in China, what was the history behind it, and what we can expect going into the future. So what it's always hard to follow up after such a great talk, but what I'm going to try to do different is that I'm trying to focus more on India, and Gordon had already started talking about it, that how things in India and China might turn out to be different. And in this brief introduction to the panel, I intend to sort of try to focus our attention on 2 or 3, 4 main things, and then have the panelists actually give their views on those main 3 or 4 main things about what's important in India in e-retail. How does e-retail and offline retail going to work together, and what are the opportunities and challenges? In this course of this presentation, I'm also going to give you a snapshot of some of the research that I have done, and I hope that will raise some more new questions for the panelists to answer. Okay, so here goes. So this is sort of a few snippets of my observation about what is happening in the Indian retail, not at a great detail level, but at a level where I'm seeing these new sort of developments that are happening in the last 3, 4, 5 months, and I'm not talking about the overall view that has how e-retail has evolved in India, but what has become important in the last 6 months. And we are all aware that assortment expansion, which is supposed to give first mover advantage, that seems to be the thing that is on everyone's mind right now. Money is pouring in, Flipkart has got a ton of money, and Amazon said, okay, $2 billion. So all of that is talking about, we are going to, have a bigger line of products to sell. So this, and this is, what Flipkart did was, in the end it has acquired Myntra. So this is going towards assortment expansion, where big retailers are actually building in bigger sort of assortments by actually acquiring others. And the other sort of, drive towards a bigger assortment is just the marketplace model, which may sometimes be driven by regulation, but the effect is the same. That what we are seeing is this marketplace model, all of these retailers on the platform, which is basically driving a bigger assortment availability on all of these big retailers, these big horizontal retailers, let me put it that way. So that is sort of one aspect of e-retail that we are seeing. The other aspect of e-retail is that it's also the verticals that are growing. So in the recent past, Lenskart, you must have seen their Lenskart advertisement even on TV. They are making an impression. There are other retailers like that, like First Try, and these are verticals because they are focusing on only one thing. Lenskart is very focused on eyeglasses, right? First Try on baby products, and the supply chain of all these specialized products is actually different from the supply chain of products that are typically carried by the horizontal retailers. So what are the opportunities in this single item vertical retailing, and how will these horizontals and these vertical retailers compete with each other and coexist? So that is sort of another thing that I wanted to sort of bring forth. Also, very interesting thing that is happening is the trend of multi-channel retailing, and I think Gordon also talked about that a little bit, is sort of coming out now in India. For example, Lenskart. It started as a pure play online retailer, but what is it doing now? It's starting up, stores, offline stores of its own, right? And it has got a plan to come up with 40, 50 stores in 1 year. It's investing a significant amount of money in trying to do that. First Try is doing the same. And so this is pure play, online retailers are going in that direction. And traditional offline retailers, which are more conservative, and they tend to say that, look, I have got my clientele, my loyal clientele, and I'll serve them. They are actually also trying to expand online now. So retailers like Vivek's, like GRT Jewelers, Kirtilal Jewelers, all of these Nalli Silks for saris, they are actually going online. So we see this trend of, and this is recent, relatively recent, past 1 year I would say, that online and offline, both channels are being enabled by retailers. So this is another sort of trend that we are seeing. And in terms of pricing, and I want to put this in the context of what Gordon said about what is happening to online and offline pricing in China. He said that they are converging. Actually, there's not that much of difference in online and offline pricing in China, so it appears. Whereas, in India, still it is marked by deep discounts on the online channel. Although, recently some, I think, smartphone manufacturers are putting pressures to actually say that, the pricing should not be that different. But still, these deep discounts, obviously they are happening because, the purpose of the online retailers is to bring people online and take away from the offline. But of course, the cost of that is extremely high. So then the question is, what would be the right kind of pricing strategies that the online retailers should be following? Because this direct a strategy of having a low price to attract people to shop online, that might not be very sustainable for very long. So these are some of the few things that I wanted to talk about. Because of all these challenges that are coming up, there are challenges that are coming up because of these changes. Of course, if you are going to expand very fast, you are going to have logistical challenges. And in any way, we have got limitations of infrastructure. How are we going to deal with this? How are online retailers going to deal with this? And there are some interesting ideas about that. I'll try to present those ideas a little bit later. That Professor Sunil Chopra from Kellogg and Professor Aditya Jain from ISB, they actually talked about that. And then coming to the marketplace model, which seems to be the direction almost everybody, or at least all the horizontal retailers are going, there can be problems in consistency of customer experience, because you really want to keep the customers that you have got on. And when you have got so many different resellers on your platform, they may not all give the same level of service to your customer who are coming to your platform. So how do you, as a platform, how do you try to manage this consistency of customer experience? And in fact, in the next session, a group of ISB students actually wrote a white paper along with Sritni on this idea, and they would make a short presentation, not in this session but the next one. And the cash on delivery part. There's some questions about cash on delivery earlier as well. And I was talking to representatives of some online retailers, and I was of the view that actually cash on delivery is a bad thing. But what they said that in big metro cities, cash on delivery actually is better for them. It actually gives them more margins. And the reason for that is because as long as they have got their own collection infrastructure, they are not depending on a third party to do that. The product goes, and if the rate of return of the product is not very high, so basically the product is likely to be accepted and you will immediately get the money on your books. Whereas if you're dealing with credit card payments, sometimes it can take more time for the money to actually come into the accounts. So that's what I heard, and the panelists would probably comment on this finding, and you can comment on that later. And the other challenge is about, well, you want to acquire customers, but you want to acquire customers that intend to spend a lot of money, right? That is when it is really useful for you. So how do you actually attract these high spending customers and keep them? Okay, and this is where I'm going to relate it to this multi-channel movement. Okay, right now, why Lenskart is setting up these new stores, these offline stores, because what they think is that this will speed up the rate of acquisition of customers. A lot of customers will never want to buy eyeglasses online because they are not sure how this eyeglass is going to look on me. So give them an offline store, give them a brick and mortar channel, so that they can actually come and try it out, and maybe become more locked in the Lenskart brand, become more familiar with this the whole Lenskart offerings, and maybe they will then start buying more online. So this kind of multi-channel experience is good for customers, because yes, they will be acquiring more customers. But there is some research that I have which basically shows that this multi-channel experience of customers is going to have some unexpectedly other good consequences for the retailers as well. So this movement towards the multi-channel is actually a good thing, and more than it was intended. So now let me ask you a question. Suppose there's a retailer and has both online and offline channels. So out of those three sets of customers that I have up there, 3 bullet points, those who purchase only from the online store, and the third one, the set of customers who purchase both from the online and the offline stores. Which one do you think is correct? The third one. Correct guess. Those who purchase from both the online and the physical stores are actually the best customers. They spend the most on your platform, on your site. What is the reason for that? Was that location? Convenience and location. Yeah, exactly. See, if there is a customer who intends to purchase a lot, I'm saying good and bad customers, nothing really good and bad about the persons, just good means people who buy more, and bad who are not buying so much, who don't intend to buy so much from you. So these good customers who intend to purchase a lot more perhaps want to have more interactions with you, and therefore these interactions are possible in the offline channel and in the online channel for them, and depending upon their convenience, their constraints, they can use one of the two channels. So this is really like a self-selection process. Good customers actually get an opportunity to go to one or the other channel and purchase. If that is the only thing, then there is, I say, so what? Okay, my customers, okay, I at least gave them multiple opportunities, and so perhaps they did not go away. So that part is there. But can we actually go ahead on this thinking and say that if we encourage customers to purchase more on the multi-channel, can we change their buying behavior? Can we convert them into good customers from being bad customers? Can we encourage them to purchase more overall if they are encouraged to use both channels? So what we did was, to answer this question, we had a large data set that we got from a multi-channel retailer in the US. Okay, this is an apparel retailer basically. So of course I'm not allowed to name the retailer, so, but this is a countrywide retailer and a major one. And what this retailer does is it opens new physical stores, in different locations occasionally. So what happens when a new store opens up? Customers in the locality in that area suddenly are encouraged to use the physical store much more, right? Because now initially it was the next closest store was like 50 miles away, and now I've got a new store opened up which is only 10 miles away from my location. So what do you think? Because now customers are going more to the physical store, will this reduce online sales? And will overall sales be flat? Because now they are going more to the offline store. They can access that easily. The overall sales will increase, and what you are saying is exactly right, because it is not only a substitutive relationship. This is what we found. It's not that customers will simply say, well, now I can use the physical store more easily, so I will do less of online sales and more of physical sales, and the overall sales is whatever I'm doing. No. It actually turns out that it converts the customers into purchasing more. So this, an empowering of both channels actually makes for much better customers. And what are the managerial implications of this finding? It's for opening making a physical store more accessible, you have to invest a lot of money, of course. You have to open up a physical store next to the customers. But to encourage use of the online channel might be less of a difficult thing to do. For example, Amazon has got all these, programs like Amazon Prime and things like that. What you can do is you can just reduce the shipping fee, for example. You can create these programs, like Amazon Prime kind of things, which will encourage people to use the online channel more. And through that engagement, perhaps go into the stores more as well and become better customers. So these are some of the observations that we had from this research. And just as a last mention in terms of the technique that we used, because we also have a running theme of analytics in this conference, we could use the propensity score matching technique. So what is the propensity score matching technique? Well, you have customers and you are tracking their purchase behavior after the store was opened near to them, right? And actually what do you want to see from these customers? If the store had not opened next to them, how much they would be purchasing, and take the differential. If they actually are purchasing much more with the store, then yes, they have become better customers. So really what we try to do is we have got household level data, things like how much our customers, how much is the household income for the year, how many members are there in the household, what is the age of the person who heads the household. So that kind of data, and with that we find clones of these households in other locations where the stores have not opened. And then we compare the purchase behavior of people, of households next to the stores and of their clones where the stores had not opened. And that differential tells us that yes, these customers have become better customers. And this slide is about the observations that Professor Sunil Chopra and Aditya Jain had about, well, how to extend the reach of online in India. And we talked about payment systems over here, and the problem with the payment systems is that they are not easily, they cannot be used easily by a lot of population. So what these two researchers have suggested is that actually why doesn't the online channel players in India try to focus on these small mom and pop stores, these kirana stores that we have. Of course, the big kirana stores have got a very loyal base of customers who are coming to them, but they obviously have very small assortments. So if a basic infrastructure and connectivity can be provided by the online players to these kirana stores can actually serve as a conduit of actually supplying the bigger assortment to their own customers and therefore making them happy. And at the same time, they can serve as a mechanism through which payment can be collected in a much more trustworthy way. And people who don't have access to credit cards, to debit cards, or any other, just cash, and there are a lot of them, perhaps this is the mechanism through which the reach of the online sellers can actually be extended. So I would invite comments on this thinking of as well. And so finally, I'm just in this last slide, I'm laying out some questions for the panelists. I've raised a lot of observations, and I hope there will be some they can respond to that. But in general, then, an overall arching question in front of us is that how are Indian e-commerce players evolving their marketing strategy and their marketing mix? What kind of alliances are they looking at, right? And when I talk of alliances, I just gave the example of a possible alliance between Kirana stores and the Flipkarts of the world. But is there a possibility of having alliance between different kind of online players as well? For example, we talked about horizontal players like Flipkart and verticals like Lenskart. So can Lenskart and Flipkart work together? Is it possible? And what would be the terms and conditions of that kind of alliance? In terms of e-commerce in China, cash on delivery is one thing, and cash on delivery is 60% in India, somebody pointed out. I think Gordon's slides showed that it is 6% in China now. Okay, so cash on delivery, is it going to reduce drastically in India? Is it not? These payment problems, and would these alternatives like using Kirana stores will actually contain that trend of cash on delivery? And is cash on delivery really bad? Because it seems that there can be big margins even when players are using cash on delivery with their own infrastructure. So I guess, and the last question I would like to point out is about pricing. Will the trend of deep discounts continue? Till when it will continue, and what are the alternatives? So I think these are some of the questions that I'll leave this slide on the board. And how we are going to proceed now is, I think Gordon already spoke just now. So perhaps we can start from you, Upamanyu. Sure. We can start from you, and I'll invite each of the panelists to speak their mind. Like you can, if you like, you can speak from there, or you can come here.
I can come there.
Sure. And then after that, there will be questions, some cross questions from me, and then from the audience. Thank you.
Good morning. What I'll try and do is, in some sort of flow, I'll kind of go through all the questions which Professor Mehra has put in front of you, and I'll try and address it from my perspective. Of course, Gordon has done a fantastic job of answering the China question. Maybe I can add a little bit of perspective to it. The first question, which is how are the Indian e-commerce players evolving their marketing mix? I'd like to take it together with the last question, which is basically the pricing strategy and the deep discounting part. Right now, the way I see it, pricing plays an overwhelming role amongst the large players to attract customers. Obviously, this is not a sustainable proposition. When it is going to change, we have to wait and see. But the way it typically changes, the way we have seen it change in, let's say, modern retail and in other industries, is that pricing gradually moves towards convenience. Obviously, price is a part of that convenience mix also, but beyond the price, the range, the depth of the range, the assortment, things like that become equally important. And then it evolves to the experience, and finally the service. And at some point it goes and settles into a mix of all these elements. And various players take positions at some place of this mix or the other, and that's the way I expect it to evolve. A lot of experimentation is also happening in this space, but given the ubiquity of price as the reason for the consumer to come and shop online, some of it is probably getting diluted. There's a lot of effort happening in the convenience space of same-day delivery, next-day delivery. There is a lot of convenience happening in returns. COD is obviously a convenience, and I'll touch upon my thoughts on that a little later. But I think today price is the one element which is the overwhelming factor here. But I do expect it to shift over a period of time, and convenience as an overarching phenomenon to take over, probably in the next couple of years or so. What are the major operational and customer acquisition challenges? Let me address the customer acquisition challenges first. I think there are not too many customer acquisition challenges now. The question would have been more relevant a couple of years ago when access to internet itself was a big issue. Today, given the ubiquity of mobile phones and data mobile phones, acquisition is not so much of a challenge. I would say retention is where the bigger thought needs to go in, is going in. Mainly, once again, because everybody is playing the price game, and therefore the customer is just price comparing and moving from side to side. So the real challenge is how do we retain customers? Again, there are thoughts happening there. Again, there are plays happening there, but very early days yet. Given how important role pricing has played, retention is something that will take time to evolve. The way it typically happens, once again, is the range and the assortment becomes one of the reasons for the customers to stay. And then, of course, there are things like loyalty programs and customer communication and customer service, conveniences, and so on and so forth. But again, I think that's a question that everybody is sort of playing with, and no clear answers are emerging as to how that retention game will play out. The major operational challenges, I think that's again pretty much clear. Logistics is one of the biggest challenges that everybody is sort of trying to grapple with. There are, interestingly, very, very different logistics models. Like Gordon pointed out, in China, in India as well, a lot of players are already investing in their own delivery models. We at eBay are playing working very closely with a lot of logistics, the key logistics service providers across the country, in order to ensure that logistics gets smoothened out, and not just gets smoothened out, the customers are able to track their orders from the point of ordering to the point of delivery. Of course, the returns leg is the other question that everybody needs to grapple with. Inventory and managing inventory, that's another aspect where there is a lot of interesting work happening. There is a warehousing model, there is a consolidation model. Warehousing is where you ask the suppliers to stock with you. At eBay, we don't do that. We work very closely with suppliers and enable them to ship very quickly and turn around and dispatch to the customers. So again, there are interesting models being played out over there. I have a couple of thoughts on the China piece. I don't want to add to what Gordon has already touched upon. The first is COD. My perspective on COD is not whether COD is good or bad. I think we don't have a choice. And the reason we don't have a choice is, I think, forget about OD. Let's focus on C. The ubiquity of cash in the Indian system will ensure that I think COD as a system will remain for a long time. I just want to, as an example, give you what is happening in the physical retail, right? The mix is exactly the same. The mix is exactly the same, right? And that indicates that what is driving COD is not the fact that the customers want to try it out for the first time, or they want to receive the goods and then pay, but the fact that there's a lot of cash in the system. And as we go up country more and more, and that's what is going to be driving e-commerce, where access to stores is not easy, exactly the way it happened in China. There, the availability of credit cards and various other online payment mechanisms are perhaps going to be even lower. And that's why my personal opinion is that COD is going to stay for a while. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Whether it's going to increase, decrease, I don't know. But the fact that it's going to remain a very, very important payment mechanism is given. The other point I want to touch upon is that one of the key reasons why e-commerce really took off in China is that the players promoted entrepreneurial, sort of unleashed the entrepreneurs in China in a very, very big way. And I think that's beginning to happen in India. Far more than organized retailers or large players coming online and selling, it is the entrepreneurs, especially in platforms like eBay, who are really scaling up, and they are the ones who are driving this growth, especially in the marketplace model. And I think this trend will only increase, and we are seeing exciting action in that area, and we at eBay are promoting that in a very big way. And in the foreseeable future, I do believe that the entrepreneurs are going to drive the Indian e-commerce more than the organized players. I'll say that the organized players are waking up to it. They're not yet awake, is something that I'd like to very clearly state. We are working closely with a lot of them, and I'll come to that in a minute. But I'd still say that, in fact, my observation is that the national players are not yet ready, but the local retailers, and Professor Mehra touched upon that a little bit, the local retailers are a lot more ready to play on the online space, a lot more ready. They are willing to invest on their own as well as with partners like eBay. They are willing to allocate funds, manpower, inventory to this process. The national players are far too entrenched in their physical game to be able to convert it. Even when they have their own e-commerce websites, they are not as committed as we'd like them to be, right? So I think that's changing, but that's where it still is. Opportunities existing in the e-commerce space, I think more than in the front end of retail, I think in the e-commerce environment, the infrastructure, there are tremendous amount of opportunities existing. I think, like I said, because entrepreneurism is is likely to play such an important role, being a seller online in the marketplaces is a huge opportunity, and anyone can play it, given the kind of models which are in existence. I think importing and selling online is becoming a huge opportunity. Those who have small manufacturing units coming online and selling is becoming a huge opportunity. So selling online per se is, I believe, a huge opportunity which is only going to grow bigger and bigger. Also, the whole infrastructure support that is required to scale up e-commerce is another opportunity. We have already seen dedicated e-commerce logistics players, and we have seen dedicated e-commerce warehousing players, and that's another area where things are going to get, or things should get, very interesting. Again, customer support is the third area, and that is again an area where we would like to see a lot of activity dedicated to the e-commerce environment. A little bit about the co-opetition with various retailers, both online and offline. It is taking off in a very big way, and we are partnering with a variety of both physical retailers and online retailers, vertical players, and getting them online. The interesting thing about eBay is that, being a marketplace, it does not compete with any of these guys, right? So we partner them to get them online and enable them online. And the way they look at it is, what they do with eBay is incremental to their business. So, for example, we have Shoppers Stop, Chroma, Mahindra Retail, Vishal Retail, Decathlon, Ferns and Petals, some of the physical guys who are online with us. On the pure online space also, a lot of vertical players are working very closely with us. I'll give you some examples. Fashionara.com is with us, BabyOA is with us, Ekstop, which is a grocery retailer in Mumbai, they are with us. Mebelcart, which is a home online retailer, is with us. So very interesting things are happening in that space, and I only expect this trend to grow larger and larger, and I expect that somewhere down the line, maybe perhaps a couple of years down the line, there is going to be a balance between the small entrepreneur and the large retailers, and that will be really the evolution of the selling space, so to speak. So that really is more or less some of the answers to the questions that Professor Mehra has raised. Perhaps if there are some more questions from the audience, I will take it later. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Great comments. Can I request Manish to now?
Morning, everyone. Hey, so I think there's some very interesting questions, Professor. You've done your research very well. But yeah, let me start by addressing the marketing question first. So how have the e-commerce players evolved the marketing mix in India? I take a step back, considering I'm at ISB. Let me give you the basics. Now, as a marketer or as a marketing company, you need to address the needs of the customer. You need to find them wherever they are and whatever they're doing, catch them at the right frame of mind so that your brand message goes across. And that's what we are doing as a marketing company, as a marketer. We're kind of evolving our marketing mix daily, learning daily, understanding which channel is working, which channel is getting me better ROI, which channel is getting more customer attention, which channel is getting us better acquisition. So just to answer it in a different way, in US, we have never been relying on mass marketing, which we call as TV or print or any other media. We do it for our Kindle products or some of the other products, but not for the retail business. We came into India, we realized that Indians are pretty much glued on TV. We spend a lot of our time on social media, on TV. We read a newspaper and physical media every day in the morning. So why not? We need to be there wherever the customer is and whatever you're doing. We need to address you and speak to you in a manner that will connect with you. So that is where our marketing mix in India is pretty much different than it is in worldwide. We are spending on TV, we're spending on print media, and at the same time, we are evolving a balance by making sure that all these medias are working hard together and helping us get to the customer in the right manner. So definitely the marketing mix is evolving and all of us are learning as we go in India. It's very important for us. Operational and customer acquisition challenges in India. I think I tend to disagree with Upamanyu. There's a whole lot of challenge still remaining in acquiring more sellers, acquiring more customers in India. We are not even at the tip of the iceberg. Imagine the industry, the retail industry is like 0.5% online right now. It may go to 3% in the next 3 years. It may go to 5% in 5 years. China is already at 9%. So it's a huge scale up that we need to do. The biggest challenge that we face in India is getting people to start selling online, getting SMEs, getting smaller businesses to start selling online so that they are able to connect with millions of people through this marketplace model that we are running in India. A lot of people in India which are SMBs, they are not aware what to do, how to upload the product, what do I need to do to put it in a catalog, what do I need to kind of do to reach out to so many people. So we in fact are running a seller university kind of a model wherein we go train people, tell them, okay, do this, this and that, and this is how you will increase your reach. Worldwide, we have like 2 million plus sellers in US. In India, we've crossed 10,000 plus benchmark pretty soon, and we want to grow much, much faster. So the economy is kind of growing up. There are challenges on infrastructure, there are challenges on broadband penetration, there are challenges on payments. Different things are kind of holding Indian e-commerce industry back. Like Gordon said, Indian government has not invested effectively with the telecom players in broadband penetration into tier 2 and 3 cities. People still access internet on feature phones. Smartphones are there, and there are a lot of smartphones which do not have an internet connection. So there are a lot of challenges, both in terms of customer acquisition as well as seller acquisition. From seller's perspective, just to give you some examples, like I said, we're running a seller university in India. We have enabled a new innovation in India called Easy Ship, wherein we ensure if you're a small seller, we will have our person come and collect the product from you, deliver it to the customer. The orders will be prepaid or COD. We have launched a service called Fulfill by Amazon in India, which is again an innovation. We take the seller's products, put it in our warehouse, we do the logistics, we supply it. The seller just then is kind of leveraging the convenience which comes with the marketplace model. They just don't have to do anything. They give the product to us, we service it, we send it to the customer, they get the money, they make the margins. And at many a times, I'm just jumping to the last question, we are a true neutral marketplace. And people come and sell in our marketplace. So what is happening is, just because of the convenience, so let's say in a retail channel, you would get X% margin as a retailer. A distributor would get Y% margin. So those channels are getting cut off. And these sellers are controlling the prices on their own. as a marketplace, we really do not influence pricing in a way that, okay, you go and sell at a lower price, or you sell at a lower price, or do whatever. The sellers are controlling the marketplace pricing, and that is where the convenience and the low-cost infrastructure that is being made available to them is working in their favor. So the entire economy is going to gain with the convenience. And to me, the e-commerce as a model, it's thriving and striving in India just because of the fact that it's so convenient. Like Gordon mentioned, in China, there are so many double-income households. No one's at home. You don't have time to go and buy. It's just about providing the customers with a large selection. Something that you need at any point in time would be made available to you at your convenience, sitting from home. And that is, as an e-commerce company, we thrive to do as well. So to provide the customer the best possible selection at the great prices on a trustable and a reliable platform. If that starts happening, we believe the flywheel on e-commerce would start spinning pretty soon in India, and we are currently at an inflection point. So convenience, pricing, and the fact that you are able to access millions of products sitting at your home is something which will trigger more and more people coming online and buying online. So that is something which we are kind of focusing on. And at the same time, like I said, access to broadband and access to safer payment methods is one of the bottlenecks in the growth of e-commerce industry. However, COD is a solution which all of us have learned, and all of us are using it to our advantage. We discussed just now, the cost is not so high. If the same guy who's delivering, he's collecting, the cost is not so high. COD is going to stay, and it is going to kind of grow, as I believe, because as we go deeper into tier 2 and 3 cities, a lot of our customers are from tier 2 and 3 cities. More than 45% of the orders will be tier 2 and 3 cities, effectively because they do not have access to the kind of selection that we provide in the physical retail. So it's like having a supply and demand gap. They do not have access to the brands which are available in metro cities. A lot of the time, I don't know how many are you from tier 2, 3 cities, people would go to people go to Delhi to buy products. People would go to Chandigarh to buy products. Now everything is available as sitting at your doorstep. You just have to click a button, get it home, get a delivery, and move on. So that is where COD is going to stay. Tier 2, 3 cities are going to stay. People are going to buy more and more online because we provide convenience to the customers. Opportunities for budding entrepreneurs. We fundamentally believe that it's a huge ecosystem in India. Like I said, we are just at the tip of the iceberg. Everyone has a huge white wall to paint on. Find your niche, find the right product, find a need gap, and go address it. It's like the opportunity is humongous. Like I said, it's just 0.5% of retail marketing is online. Retail market is online. It is going to grow tremendously. As long as people have ideas which are scalable, which cater to a relevant need gap, they are going to grow, and no one is going to hold them back. So having big players or small players, I do not even see that there's a dichotomy there. The entire ecosystem will flourish as long as the ideas are strong and you're able to cater to the customer needs in the best possible manner. So that's my answer to that one. Co-opetition, I think that is something which is going to grow the entire industry as well. As niche products come in, as niche companies with strong background and strong selection come into India, like we discussed, Lenskart or First Cry, and they are able to develop the right kind of selection to get to the customer needs, we are more than happy to have them sell on our platform. We are discussing with many small players as well. So like I said, we are a marketplace. Our opportunity is to grow the ecosystem. Our objective is to thrive the ecosystem by providing equal opportunity to both the customers as well as the sellers. And as e-commerce grows in India, as the number of smartphones grow in India, as broadband penetration grows in India, as people get more confident about paying online through credit cards and debit cards, I think it's just going to be a very steep growth curve as we go forward. From China, I think specifically all of us are learning. We do realize that it's never one size fits all. It's always customizing your solution to the needs of this customer, of this country, of this culture. And whether China was different or whether India is different, there are a lot of similarities, primarily in terms of customer behavior, in terms of seeking value, in terms of seeking selection, and ensuring that you're getting the best bargains. So that definitely helps us kind of get the learnings from China into India. So simple things, let's say we had a lot of learning on COD in China, which we have implemented in India. In China, we went with acquiring a company. In India, we've built our zone from ground up because we realized that the challenges are pretty unique. We're investing from day one in India, while in China, we kind of were pretty, we took time to invest and understand the market. So those learnings are helping us. The entire industry is growing, and we were just discussing, India is just going to skip a lot of steps with China and US took. India is going to go on mobile. Indian economy and Indian e-commerce is just going to cross a lot of levels and come to the level N pretty soon. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Manish. And can I now invite Gordon to come?
I'll just be very brief. I think on the customer acquisition, on the retention, the approach that's being taken most aggressively in China is around leveraging social media to sustain retention and integrating online-offline membership programs to do that. I would reinforce the point of mobile first, second, third in India. That is the way that it's going to be, and that will be different not just to China, than to the US, than to anywhere. You will be the first large-scale internet retail environment where it's born mobile, and it does make some things different. On delivery, I think we'll see a lot around delivery to the neighborhood, in China we're seeing a lot, increasing amount of delivery to the office. At a personal level, we've actually had to ban package deliveries to our office in Beijing and create a new entrance for the package deliveries because we were turning into a collection. Our lobby looked like it was like an Amazon warehouse. It was a great advert for you, by the way, the number of packages that were there. But delivery to the office, if that's where both members of the household are working, deliver to the office and pick it up there. Is actually becoming quite big. On the discounting, discounting is just getting much more sophisticated. It's very selective discounting. You talk to particularly the electronics guys, they have internet-only models now that they basically manufacture on a very deep discount, limited feature, manufacture on demand, online-only sales. So there is visibility of a deep discount, but actually if you do comparison on a product you can buy online and offline is very, very similar. So that's part of what they're doing. China's not best in class at partnerships. The tendency is going to be if you see an opportunity to create some synergy, you go buy the other guy, you don't partner with them. And I don't quite know how that'll happen in India. One thing that's different is, let's just listen to the concept. When China was getting started, there were virtually no rich people in China. Certainly there were no industrial billionaires who've been around for generations who dominate various industries today. India clearly has a great heritage of that. Those guys are going to play a role. Some don't ask me what it is, but they're going to want to be internet billionaires, I guess, as well as industrial billionaires. And then, where would I look at? Hey, look. I've seen a lot of McKinsey guys go out and play in internet in China, so totally non-representative sample. Going after emerging verticals would be what I would think about. Beyond the someone is going to dominate real estate. Someone's going to dominate automotive. Someone's going to dominate, various forms of travel. Those kind of things strike me as spaces where, and they link to retail over time, and eventually they probably do get bought by one of the big retailers, so there's an exit option for you there. And I heard a little bit around perhaps there's going to be some more partnerships between India and China again. If there's lots of micro sellers that are selling online, that are selling imported product, I guess quite a lot of that imported product will come from China, and there'll be Chinese players looking to do who recognize they don't understand the market, they don't understand how to brand, they don't understand how to put the right set of features in place. But with an intelligent Indian partner, they should be able to do that. So let me stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon. So I'm going to just make a couple of observations based on what I heard, and then open the floor. So one of the things that I had a recent experience with purchasing online, and this was one of the platforms, and I wanted to buy. This is a marketplace, and it's a small player. And I went for a trek recently, and I wanted a trekking pole, which is a very specialized thing. It was not available to me easily, and I didn't know that Decathlon actually was in Hyderabad till then. So I ordered this trekking pole on a cash on delivery basis, because I was not sure this small seller, what will happen if I pay the money upfront. And what I realized was that I had to pay a premium if I wanted the option of cash on delivery. And after agreeing to pay that premium also, the trekking pole never arrived. So, this is my experience. Maybe this is just a one-off experience. I don't know how cash on delivery is going to work on marketplaces. So
But just to be clear, you didn't buy on Amazon and you didn't buy on eBay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So that is one observation, and I'm sure that this kind of, this is a big part of a bigger question of, well, how do you give consistency of and high value of high customer experience, and to customers when they are shopping on a marketplace with very very heterogeneous sellers. Will the shipment arrive in time? I have to go to a trek. I need a pole in time. It says it will arrive. It will reach in 5 days. It's 8 days. It hasn't come. So that kind of inconsistency, customers will not like. So that is one thing that I sort of wanted to point out. The other thing, just to give you guys some ammo to ask our panelists some questions, they don't agree on which is more important, customer acquisition or retention. So that's one thing, I would like to put back to them. And I guess those were the couple of remarks that I had. One more thing about the entrepreneurship, I think I heard from them that, going into the verticals for budding entrepreneurs is something that they could do. And the other thing is perhaps going into the logistics industry in India, which would support the e-commerce players. Now, I guess e-commerce players are setting up their own logistics, but maybe just providing some kind of last mile logistics in certain maybe two tier, 3 tier cities might be something that, maybe just these players might be willing to look at in some sense.
So in fact, that's been a big challenge, the last mile delivery. Am I audible? Yeah. So what we've done is we tied up with IPS, Indian Postal Service, which kind of caters to the deepest of deep in India. So we have 19,000 pin codes, 140,000 post offices. They are delivering our packages, and that's an innovation that we drove out of India, because we wanted to ensure that we reach the last mile. The guy sitting in Tripura or Meghalaya is going to get my package and going to get in time. And to control the delivery times, we have also given some infrastructure to the post offices in terms of updating us what is happening, when is our order getting delivered. So all of that is helping us to reach out to the deepest possible. Another innovation we've driven in India, you mentioned that on the Kirana stores, we're creating pickup points with Kirana stores, because we realize that those are the stores where you are used to going on a day-on-day basis. They are happy because they get more footfalls, they get more people coming into their stores. So that's something which we have tried. We also tied up with BPCL stores, again for pickups. So yeah, we are evolving as we learn in India.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think Gordon has to go quickly. So can we have initial questions?
Maybe just one question.
Maybe just one question to him, and before he leaves, and then we can have more questions for the other 2 panelists.
Really insightful, Mr. Gordon's presentation as well as the panelists. So my one question which was pending from the last this thing was that does C2C, it is very vibrant in China, but in India is it happening? It's addressed to Mr. Upamanyu also. C2C as a transaction, is it happening in eBay? Because eBay was conceived as a C2C forum. So is it happening, or it's only B2C? And what is the percentage in India and what is the percentage in China of the C2C transactions?
Well, so C2C in China is about 60% today, declining at maybe 5 to 6 points a year at the moment as share.
Well, from India's perspective, I think the question is what do you consider C2C? Because typically, not new is traditionally considered C2C in India. From that space, it is irrelevant as far as eBay is concerned. But if you're talking about small entrepreneurs, it is still about 70% odd of the business.
Thank you.
Not necessarily, because there are lots of individuals who are doing imports, who are getting sourcing items and selling them, and you might also want to consider them to be C2C. But if you are saying purely the not new business, what I already have, I'm putting online and selling, that's irrelevant. That's not there.
Yeah. Hi. So there was a slide on Professor Mehra's where he had defined customer good bad in terms of saying that the brick and mortar, the online customer, and brick and mortar plus online, where he was trying to tell brick and mortar plus online is good, which I think I don't agree across. It should be the online customer which is going to be the good. If you see the tendency, it's about more people who are going to buy across online as a share of wallet, which is going to be increasingly far more than what it is going to be within the brick and mortar kind of stuff. So the context here of saying that brick and mortar plus online, I don't see anywhere really working across.
Can I just comment on that? Yeah. So it's not the question of good and bad actually. The point
that's where the analysis was there.
I'm just responding to sort of what you said. The fact of the matter is a lot of people don't even have access to brick, right? So they are going to be online straight. So for example, in the tier 3 and tier 4 cities. The people in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, it is going to be a combination. That's the reality.
In terms of the share of wallet, I think what he was mentioning about the good and bad customer, the share of wallet, which is going to be, if you see from the urban side also, the share of wallet is going more towards the online buying rather than the physical buying. So your last comment about saying that the good customer is a online plus brick and mortar, I think it's all about online rather than brick and mortar.
Hi, Upamanyu. My name is Rahul. Work for the US retail sector for Google. Your question, your point on COD actually brought this thing. I thought I was the only one with this perspective. The C is more important than the OD, and I believe that that is because less than 3% of the India's population pays tax. So it's not that convenience might be a reason, but it's also a lot of undeclared income, which is probably funneling its way into online, and that's what is funding online purchases. Do you see that changing with the very hungry income tax department? Do you see that changing? Because the difference with purchasing, let's say repeatedly purchasing from an Amazon or an eBay or a Flipkart versus going to a store, if you use cash on the store, there's probably no trail for it. Meaning the store doesn't know that I'm the same purchaser who came last week and the week before that. But if you do that with a Flipkart ID or a Amazon ID, you can still consolidate all of that purchase. Do you think that will become a major problem?
Do you disclose to the government?
No. Can the IT department actually force a Flipkart or an Amazon to kind of consolidate all of the purchases that somebody has done on cash and then see where is that income coming from?
I won't comment on that. I think it's pretty internal.
This question is directed to Professor Mehra, and maybe the other panelists could weigh in. This is about the multi-channel retailing strategy that you talked about, especially in the case of the national retailers. I'm still not clear why a national or how a national retailer will be able to manage the channel conflict, given that the entire dynamics around the online retailing space in India is around pricing. And let me explain why I'm saying that. One of the reasons why some of your entrepreneurs or even a WS retail on Flipkart is able to offer a better price is because of the efficiencies that come in through the online space. Now, even if a Chroma or a Reliance Digital is able to realize those efficiencies on the online space, they will have to manage channel conflict and will not be able to offer a significant discount or even a meaningful discount to the offline price. How would a multi-channel retailing strategy work for any of the national retailers in that case?
Sure. Do you want to take it first, or should I? Please. Okay. So I have got a couple of observations, and in fact tied to what Gordon he just said towards the end. He said that yes, there is a lot of visibility to the deep discounts that are happening online, but actually most of the sales online are not happening at those deep discounts. Okay, because they may be for specific short periods, and sometimes these discounts may be directed using analytics to actually some specific people only. Okay, and as far as in the US experience shows that initially people, initially retailers with multi-channels, they kept their pricing different in the online and offline channels. So it was fair game to keep for the same product a different pricing. Okay. And they allowed the practice of price matching, which said that, okay, if you observe that, we are for a specific SKU offering a lower price in our online channel, then you can just tell us and we will match the price for you. So that way, if somebody actually observes this, and even after buying the product for the next 15 days or something, they can get that discount. After, initially, that was the practice initially, and now what has happened is that at least in 70-80% of the cases, people have actually moved towards consistency of customer experience across multiple channels. So which means that they are actually, most of them are now even trying to get away from this practice and pricing it at the same level for a given SKU across both channels. But still I think the experience shows that it is not necessary that one has to have a different pricing online, because you could say that I am having a promotion online on Sunday, but a local store may not be showing that promotion. So those kinds of things still work in terms of managing the price as far as I can see. So I guess those kinds of things will be useful in the Indian context as well.
Hi. I would like to thank the panel for the insightful presentation. My question is, aren't the offline players, the traditional stores, in a much more, they're not actually leveraging the power of online because they have presence across various cities and all. Wouldn't they be in a very advantageous position to use them for their delivery and the infrastructure and, the warehouses part of it, and do a very good job of what they're doing? I think that segment, I don't think it has been leveraged too much. And my second question is the vertical segments, initially people like Pepperfry, Coos and other players, they started as vertical segments, but then I think they see that they're not making enough money in that, and then they diversify to include everything, like furniture and other stuff where they would actually have better margins. So how do you think this would emerge in the future?
Okay. So I think to your first question, we have done some interesting work with some of our physical retail partners of buying online and taking delivery in the store. So those kind of models are already being tested. I know that they are not scaled up, but there is experimentation happening quite successfully, even at this point. But I suspect you're absolutely right. I mean, that is the way to go. And I expect more and more of the physical retailers and as well, and those who are partnering with us online will try out those kind of models, because that's an obvious one. I mean, that's where the leverages are. So I think that's the direction that we expect it to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like I mentioned, a lot of these small retailers, they are growing their businesses significantly once they come online on a marketplace model. We are providing them education, infrastructure, logistics, warehousing, and once they start, and we have so many case studies that people have kind of increased their businesses multiple folds if they get the hang of it and they have right product and they maintain quality. So the entire ecosystem is going to flourish if things fall in place. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I am Rohit from Deloitte. So my question is, in China Unicom has partnership with Alibaba, and I mean, China Unicom is seeing a growth in its data uses through Alibaba website. So similar kind of partnership can we see in India? Because penetration and payment platform is the two major challenges what we are seeing in India for e-commerce players. So if e-commerce players can leverage telecoms billing channels, that would be a driver for e-commerce growth. Plus, they can also reach to a wider mass through telecos, subscriber base. So what would be the major challenges you see, and what would be the future for in this regards?
I think multiple innovations and formats would appear, alliances would be formed, and as long as the needs of the customers are being taken care of, either by an alliance with an OEM or a network provider or anything, like I said, the Indian industry is pretty nascent right now. We will see a whole lot of innovation and a whole lot of new formats appearing going forward. Yeah.
Okay. Last year in Google Online Shopping Festival, real estate players came in and Tata Housing did a lot of sales. What do you think that, the players like Magic Bricks, 99 Acres, who are online key players today for real estate, do you see that happening, that, they will be selling on the real estate apartments and villas online? Or do you think that the whole selling will be done by particular top houses, powerhouses of real estate like Tata Housing, Godrej? What do you see? Right? Is that going to be done by property portals, or you see that it will be a mix of both?
I think personally, I believe that it will be more P2P, as in peer-to-peer or customer-to-customer. Once it starts happening, that people get confidence in those things. There was recently a case I heard, someone listed some multi-crore property on a classified site, and that was an individual who wanted to get quotes from across the country. So the convenience and the fact that when people start trusting each other, the model will evolve. Currently, the way we see these sites, they're more lead generation engines and thriving on advertising. But as the market evolves, as people start gaining confidence and there are success stories, I'm sure the model will evolve as we go forward.
Hi. It has been said by someone that turnover is actually vanity, right? Cash is sanity and profit is reality. And especially in terms of e-commerce model, we have seen that discounted pricing is something that is really luring the consumers to come to online. But over a period of time, if any of the business model, and including e-commerce, is supposed to remain in the game, then discounted pricing, I don't think so would kind of really, and the big discount that we are seeing right now, won't be there over a period of time, let's say next 10 years. So how do you think that in that case, when the discounted pricing is not there, e-commerce would really kind of head-on-head have a competition with the offline retailer, and what would be the new business model that would emerge?
I think, typically the way we have seen it in other markets as well as in physical retail, it obviously the water comes and settles down at a certain point. Today, everybody is using the discounts to attract customers, to get the customers, draw the customers into the site. Also remember, a large part of India's target audience is first-time buyers, and they need to be enticed into the site, and that's really the reason for all the discounting. Over a period of time, it will obviously, the expectation is it will settle down at some point. At what point it will settle, we'll have to wait and see.
How the business model in that case would emerge, because when the discounts are not there, why the consumers would go to online versus retail stores, and how the things would play out in that case?
It's just the convenience of buying products, a huge selection, a catalog of millions of products of a certain category being available at the comfort of home, and product being delivered at the promised time will make sure that convenience takes over.
Remember that a lot of customers who are already buying online do not even have access to physical stores.
Well, remember my trekking pole, which I could not find anywhere else.
That's true.
Yeah. One question. Well, thanks for insightful presentation. Thank you. What I've seen with all the panelists putting different business problem that you're trying to use right now, with Lenskart, going e-commerce plus brick and mortar model, with Amazon completely focusing on e-commerce, but of course maintaining the logistics part of it themselves, whereas eBay is not doing the logistics part of it, as I've understood correctly that point. So now imagine that the new startup wants to also start the e-commerce. I'm just trying to understand what should be the percentage share that a new startup should invest into brick and mortar or logistics, or do a good partnership like eBay. So what do you suggest to a startup who would like to get into this new e-commerce model? And what's your percentage share? So I think all of you have different ideas. Probably would like to hear all the ideas. Thanks.
Okay, so I would say as the business model evolves, you would realize that where do you need to invest here? Because ultimately, to provide, if you want to give a good customer experience, and delivery is a very important part of it, and you feel that you have a great logistics provider, which is a third party, you can thrive with it, you can survive with it, and grow with it. However, if you feel you're not able to control the customer experience and there are problems and there are issues, you may want to invest in your own logistics thing. You may want to choose to invest in warehousing depending on what kind of model are you into. So like I said, it's function of which business, which model, and what situation are you into. And as a smart business, as a smart entrepreneur, you will have to take your calls accordingly. There's nothing ideal here. It's an evolving space that you will have to learn.
Also remember that so there are, we're talking in fairly general terms over here, but remember that, there are so many different categories that we are selling, right? Right from all of us, right? From mobile phones to mobile accessories to tools and hardware to all sorts of things. And each of them will have different requirements, different needs, different balances, and so on and so forth. So very difficult to say what's the ideal mix. Yeah.
My question is to Mr. Manish. In India, buying standard products is very easy because there is a significant population in the middle class who understand English. But if there are a lot more emotional buying products which are a little complex, what are your plans for localizing to cater to all the regional languages here? That's number one. And the small question.
Give me an example of emotional buying products.
So people in Tier 3 and Tier 2 cities, if they want to buy fashion jewelry or other products, it's a little complex decision. It has to be emotional driven. So it's best if you communicate to them in their own language. Say someone in say Gujarat, someone in say Tamil Nadu. So what are your plans to localize in terms of creating the local language branding or messaging or different multilingual sites? That's the first one. The second one is, when can we see Amazon sell their own products in India?
Good questions.
You better answer the second one first.
The second one, obviously, I cannot answer. It's a function of government policy and regulations. We fundamentally believe that FDI would be good for Indian economy because we will be able to partner with the local manufacturers and provide more selection, which is unique to the Indian customers. However, that's something which is open for discussions. The first one, would Amazon go into market as an emotional selling? Definitely, we will evolve. How we will evolve, I cannot comment. We are in India to cater to the customers in the best possible manner. And if the customer feels that they need to be communicated in their vernacular language, we may evolve as we go forward.
I guess at this point we have to close. Thank you for a great discussion.
Thank you.
It was really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you for that very, very interesting discussion. I think the number of questions that kept coming shows the kind of interest that was generated. Just token of appreciation. Amit, can you please give away the... Thank you, Professor Mehra.